In the heart of Los Angeles, the power plays at Forrester Creations and Spencer Publications have rarely simmered this hot. And Ridge finds himself caught between family loyalty, corporate warfare, and the magnetism of Brooke Logan, whose ambitions and affections now threaten to tip alliances and shatter lives. Ridge, exhausted and battered by scandal, finds himself shouldering the fate of Forrester far more than ever before. He has already been through betrayals, backstabbings, and public scandals, but now the pressure mounts as Brooke's touches, both in the boardroom and in secret after dark, pull him into a dizzying, dangerous game. She approaches him behind closed doors with Bill Spencer at her side in more than name only. In the press, they present themselves as a united front. Brooke and Bill now whisper of forming a media fashion super alliance to vanquish any competitor, combining Brooke's influence in the fashion world with Bill's grip on media and prestige. The idea, a super shareholder entity so formidable that Ridge's Forrester empire and any other opposition would be steamrolled by the twin gears of public perception and financial muscle. Ridge sneers at the hubris of it all. He is not a man who bows to media manipulation. But even as he resists, the insinuations between Brooke and Bill grow. In boardroom maneuvering, Brooke edges in as an investor, subtly threatening Forrester's autonomy. Bill floats rumors, leaks stories, plants whispers in the press. Soon, Ridge finds his public image tarnished and his board gasping under pressure. He is fighting on all fronts: artistic integrity, family loyalty, and now a personal war over Brooke's ambitions. In the process, Brooke has turned to Bill not just as a strategic partner but as a lover again. She's been in his office, softly touching his arm over spreadsheets and profit margins. She's been in his bedroom, renewing a familiar alliance that Katie once believed was buried. Together, they see a path to power. By controlling the narrative, owning both fashion and media, they could crush any opponent. Whether Logan, Forrester, or another upstart, Ridge knows it, Katie knows it, and slowly, the stakes escalate. Yet Brooke's advance into Bill's arms carries a cost. Katie, her sister, stands in the shadows of this alliance. Her own hopes rekindled, especially now that Katie has applied to adopt, seeking a renewed sense of family purpose. For years, Katie watched Bill and Brooke dance dangerously close. But she always believed she had something they didn't: stability, love for Will, and a sense of moral high ground. Now, Katie fights to protect what could be hers again. She pushes adoption paperwork like a shield against Brooke's power grab. She reminds Bill, in hushed tones and in courtroom filings, that she is not a footnote in his life. She is mother to Will, spouse, or former spouse, to Bill, and rightful co-heir to his larger ambitions. Each time Brooke and Bill jet off together or leak some morsel to the press, Katie counters with legal threats, adoption filings, familial emotional appeals, and public loyalty. The tension between Brooke's lust for dominance and Katie's yearning for legitimacy is etched across every confrontation. And then there's Steffi. Steffi has never been one to sit on the sidelines. And she's never forgotten how Brooke once claimed the center of Ridge's heart. She has watched the tremors creep through Forrester, Brooke's influence, Ridge's distraction, Katie's fire. She sees the danger. Ridge, burdened with scandal, might lean on Brooke out of weakness. Bill and Brooke's alliance might erase Forrester's identity. Katie's adoption fight could implicate ownership and emotional leverage. And all of it threatens Steffi's future, her children, her claim on Ridge's legacy. So Steffi declares war. She steps onto the battlefield not only with legal maneuvers but with emotional volleys. Public declarations, confrontations in hallways, showdowns at Forrester fashion shows, whispered threats in Ridge's ear. In one delirious crescendo, Ridge slams his fist on the boardroom table as Brooke lays out a more audacious plan. To buy out Forrester shares. To rebrand divisions as joint ventures. To effectively merge the companies and place Brooke, Bill behind the curtain of control. Ridge roars that Forrester will not be a puppet in this game. Brooke, unflinching, leans forward. You want loyalty? You want love? You want respect? Then act like someone worthy of them. Bill watches, cool, placing a hand on Brooke's shoulder. Ridge's eyes flick to Katie's name on a court filing that Brooke stubbornly delayed. He knows Brooke is laying strategic traps. In the bedroom, too, their alliances deepen and blur. Ridge sometimes finds himself dreaming of Brooke's touch, of the ease she offers when storms press in. Brooke moves with confidence, touching him at the bedside, whispering, "We can do this together." Ridge fights the pull. He remembers Katie, Steffi, and the promise he once made to uphold Forrester's soul. But the nights grow longer, his resistance frays. Katie, sensing the danger, accelerates her adoption process. Full dossiers, courtroom hearings, affidavits from family, press coverage to boost sympathy. every tactic legal and emotional. She confronts Brooke in overheard corridors. You wanted Bill. You wanted Forrester. Now you want my life too? Brooke responds icily. I want power. Isn't that what you've always wanted? Their confrontation becomes a public spectacle. Words thrown. Reporters lurking. Alliances called into question. Katie refuses to back down, even as her heart bleeds. She stands guard for Will. For what she thinks is right. For the legacy she hopes Brooke and Bill cannot steal. Steffi, meanwhile, challenges Ridge directly. You're giving her access. You're letting her in. Where does that leave me? Where does that leave her children? Ridge tries to placate her. I love you. I always will. But I can't be consumed by wars. She responds. Voice sharp. Then give me the war you won't fight. Her fury spills into the studio. The atelier. The press. Declaring publicly that Forrester is not for sale. That Ridge's heart isn't a chess piece. She draws the line. Move Brooke out of Monte Carlo. Cancel joint projects. Rescind contracts that Brooke and Bill signed in his name. The corporate war becomes personal. Ridiculously, the media dailies run splash headlines. Brooke and Bill to dominate LA media plus fashion empire? Will Ridge survive the takeover? Katie broke or broken? Steffi's rebellion. Daughter versus mother-in-law showdown. Photos catch Brooke and Bill walking arm in arm across rooftop publicity. Events. Ridge stands aside, scowling. Katie appears at adoption court in an emotional plea. Steffi storms into Forrester shareholder meetings demanding votes. Block votes, proxy fights, board seats all shift like pieces on a chessboard. The climactic moment arrives at a high-stakes shareholder meeting. Ridge addresses the assembled board and press. Katie by his side, Steffi in the audience, Brooke and Bill poised across the room. He accuses Brooke and Bill of attempted hostile takeover through emotional leverage and media manipulation. He demands they produce full agreements, audited finances, and recuse themselves from Forrester decision-making. Brooke counters with her own motion. Force a merger, appoint a neutral CEO, override Ridge's veto. The board sways this way then that. Katie rises, voice trembling. I applied to adopt to anchor my family, not to become a weapon. But if this board votes to hurt my daughter's home, I'll sue, I'll expose, I'll drag every name, every contract into daylight. The room gasps. Steffi interjects. If you vote them in, you lose me. You lose loyalty. You lose the soul of this company. Ridge stands. Reads Brooke's signature on a covert document that granted Bill a shadow stake. He slams it. This ends tonight. After hours of debate, vote count, and dramatic speeches, the board rejects Bill's motion. Forrester remains independent. Brooke seethes. Bill's face darkens. Ridge looks drained but triumphant. Steffi weeps with relief. Katie steps forward, extending her hand to Ridge, not as lover but as sister in arms. He takes it. Brooke glares across the room, vow forming on her lips that this is far from over. Yet in the aftermath, nothing is the same. Bill withdraws, but not quietly. He quietly sells off assets tied to Forrester, channels media assets to more hostile outlets. Brooke retreats, wounded but not broken. She begins plotting her next move. Katie braces for retaliation, clinging to her adoption battle, hoping legal protections can hold. Ridge, emotionally scarred, realizes the truth. Love and business must be separate, or both will burn. Steffi, hardened, stands at Ridge's side, not with demands now, but with vigilance. The price has been paid, shattered trust, ruptured bonds, hearts torn open. The war won was costly. But the war continues. In the corridors of Forrester, in the press, in courtrooms, and in bedrooms, alliances shift daily. And Brooke, for all her ambition, may yet discover that power comes with ruin, and that Ridge, Katie, and Steffi will not let her wound them without paying. The truth never stays buried in Los Angeles. Not when it involves the Forresters. And especially not when it's about Brooke Logan. What Ridge suspected in the shadows becomes devastatingly real one quiet morning. When an anonymous envelope lands on his desk. No name, no return address, just a single photo inside. Brooke, tangled in Bill Spencer's sheets. Her face half turned in a moment of unmistakable intimacy. Ridge doesn't breathe. The room closes in. He'd heard the rumors. He'd seen the subtle touches. The long glances. The way Bill stood too close and Brooke never stepped away. But part of him, desperate, foolish, hopeful, believed it hadn't gone that far. Not again. Not after everything. Not after all the damage they had caused the last time this triangle exploded. Ridge had chosen to believe Brooke wanted reconciliation. He'd even started planning the moment. A quiet dinner, an olive branch, the possibility of starting fresh. He thought maybe, just maybe, there was still something between them worth saving. Now he realizes, it was never about reunion for Brooke. It was about leverage. The betrayal doesn't even feel real at first. Just heat, rage, nausea. He storms through Forrester with the photo clenched in his fist, ignoring gasps, rushing past assistants, until he finds Brooke alone in the executive suite reviewing a press release. She looks up. Ridge. He doesn't speak, just tosses the photo on the table. The silence is brutal. Brooke freezes. Her lips part, searching for a lie she doesn't have time to form. Ridge steps closer. How long, Brooke? How many times? While I was defending you in board meetings? While Katie was filling out adoption papers? Brooke doesn't deny it. It was a mistake, she says softly. It wasn't supposed to happen. We were under pressure. One night, Ridge. Just one night too many, Ridge says, voice low and lethal. She tries to explain. She says it wasn't love. That it didn't mean anything. That she and Bill were caught up in stress and strategy and old habits they thought were gone. She says he was the one she really wanted. That he was the future she was hoping for. But Ridge sees the truth now, not just about the affair, but about everything. He sees how Brooke has always played both sides. Always managed to keep one hand in the past while reaching for power. He sees how Bill was never really out of the picture, just parked until he was useful again. He sees how she wrapped herself in memories of love when it suited her. And betrayal when it suited her more. You didn't want me back, Ridge says, his voice flat. You wanted the appearance of wanting me. To keep me soft. To keep me distracted while you and Bill tore this company apart. Brooke shakes her head, eyes glistening. No, that's not true. Ridge, I love you. He looks at her like a stranger. No, Brooke. You love winning. He turns his back and walks out, and this time, he doesn't stop. Not even when she calls after him. Not even when she follows. For Ridge, this is not heartbreak. It's clarity. And it is final. Word spreads fast. Katie hears about the confrontation before noon. She doesn't gloat. If anything, she looks broken all over again. She had hoped, against hope, that Bill wouldn't betray her again. Especially not now. Not while she was opening her life to another child. But of course he did. He always does. She texts Ridge, just 2 words, I'm sorry. Ridge replies, you were right. Steffi, when she finds out, is less diplomatic. She corners Brooke at Forrester the next day, seething. You just can't help yourself, can you? Steffi says. You can't stay away from men who destroy families. Brooke tries to defend herself. But Steffi cuts her off. I watched Dad suffer to defend you, she hisses. Watched him go to war for you. And this is what you do. While Katie is filing to adopt, you're in bed with her ex-husband? Are you that selfish, or just that stupid? I didn't plan it, Brooke says weakly. It just happened. No, Steffi says. It never just happens with you. It's always a choice. And you made it. Again. Brooke leaves the building hours later with her head down. Barely able to look anyone in the eye. The halls feel colder. Even her usual allies keep their distance. She tells herself she'll recover. That she always does. But this time, something feels different. Ridge isn't calling. Katie isn't visiting. Bill isn't answering. She is alone, and the silence is deafening. Meanwhile, Ridge retreats to his office. Locking the door. Reviewing old sketches. Old photos. Trying to ground himself in something purer. He deletes the dinner reservation he'd made for Brooke. He calls his lawyer, quietly moving assets, reviewing stock arrangements. He invites Steffi in and tells her, you were right to fight. Never let this place fall into hands like hers again. Ridge begins the process of reclaiming his life without Brooke. This time, permanently. No grand declarations. No emotional swerves. Just resolve. And Brooke? She begins to see just how much she's lost. Not just Ridge. Not just credibility. But the illusion that she could have it all. The empire she dreamed of with Bill is crumbling under the weight of scandal. Katie files a restraining order against Bill visiting Will until custody arrangements are clarified. The adoption agency begins an internal review. And across the city, Ridge closes the book on the chapter called Brooke. Not with a bang, but with a locked door.